from the betting capital of the world. Giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
This isn't a podcast. It's a sportscast.
What's up, guys? We are back. It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, here to go over UFC 297, Sean Strickland versus DRICUS Du Plessis. And I know everyone out there thought I wouldn't show my face, I wouldn't come back after getting reverse swept on our very first card of 2024, losing 3.99 units last week at UFC Vegas 84. But we're back, man. We're gonna bounce back this week at UFC 297. I'm pumped, man. I have a lot of action on this card. We already have 2 bets on this card. We have almost a 4-unit play on this card. And so, yeah, man, make sure you guys stick around for the end of the show where we go over our official bets. And we will address how we got reverse swept last week with our picks going 6-6 and our bets going 0-5. So I'm behind the 8 ball, man. I put in a lot of tape study. I put in a lot of work on these cards here. So let's get right into the fights. And in the very first fight of the night, we have a money line that's on the move. We have Malcolm X Gordon taking on Jimmy the Brick Flick in the men's flyweight division. We have Malcolm Gordon coming in with a 14-7 record, 33 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. He's fighting Jimmy the Brick Flick, who comes in with a 16-7 record, 33 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. Now on the screen right here, you can see earlier in the week, Malcolm Gordon was a -130 favorite and Jimmy the Brick Flick was +110. And now, money's been pouring in on Malcolm Gordon, pushing him all the way -185 and pushing Jimmy the Brick to around +170. Kind of crazy, man, to see Malcolm Gordon that wide as a favorite in the UFC. Let's start with Jimmy the Brick Flick and him first, though, the underdog. So I actually like Jimmy the Brick Flick a lot. I'll never forget when he was on Contender Series and they flashed like a little graphic of his up, and he said he called himself the White Habib. I just thought that was so funny. He goes out there and you know, dominates Nate Smith and wins via finish in that 3rd round via a triangle choke, and then goes out in his UFC debut and throws a flying triangle and wins over submission against Cody Durden, which ends up being a super good win because Cody Durden's on fire in the UFC right now. And that was just such a crazy finish. I remember being so happy for him. Then he actually retired, guys. This guy took, I don't even say a lot of time off. He took a few years off. I think it was 2. But a sudden retirement, right? So out of nowhere, the dude's in his prime, 31 years old, and just retires right after his first UFC win. A crazy highlight finish at that. And so that was super, random, and you don't want to see that. I think it was some personal stuff he was dealing with. So he takes 2 years off, comes back, and gets finished in his next 2 fights in the UFC. And that's one thing with Jimmy the Brick Flick, is that he's 16-7. And he's been knocked out 6 times, man. He is super one-dimensional. If he can submit you, take you down, and strangle you, he's probably going to lose the fight. And that's the thing with Malcolm Gordon. He has his own flaws as well. So that's why I'm so surprised to see money coming in on him, pushing him to almost -200. Because, man, Malcolm Gordon, he's 14-7, been knocked out 5 times. This dude is very chinny. Honestly, he probably has a pound-for-pound worst chin in the UFC's flyweight division. This dude cannot take a punch. But he won't have to worry about that against Jimmy Flick because Jimmy Flick has 16 professional MMA wins and no knockouts. This dude doesn't strike like that. If you just watch him fight, you know he's not a striker. That's not his base. He is a grappler. He wants to wrestle. He wants to grab you, and he wants to put you on your back. Malcolm Gordon, to me, though, does have the defensive wrestling and offensive wrestling here to match Jimmy Flick. And on the feet, I don't think it's going to be close. I think Malcolm Gordon is way better on the feet. And it's just, I know he's super chinny and not durable, but man, he got crushed to the body and then finished up top in his last fight. But the fight that I want to talk about is the Mokaev fight against Muhammad Mokaev. He actually took Muhammad Mokaev's back. Muhammad Mokaev, in my opinion, is going to be a champion one day. And that dude has sick, elite grappling. And for Malcolm Gordon to take his back, man, that's just super impressive. So I know he lost that fight. I know he got finished. But man, I've seen enough from Gordon's grappling, in my opinion, to think that he's going to be safe in this fight. And if anything, I think he's going to finish Jimmy the Brick Flick on the feet, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. But yeah, man, give me Malcolm Gordon to finish Jimmy Flick here. We'll go with a 2nd round knockout. Jimmy is just too one-dimensional, man. And up next, we have a women's flyweight fight between Jasmine Jasudavicius and Priscila Cachoeira. Jasudavicius comes in with a 9-3 record, 34 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. She's fighting Priscila Zombie Girl Cachoeira, who comes in with a 12-5 record, 35 years old, 5'7" with a 65-inch reach. But man, this money line is crazy. Jasmine comes in with a minus 410 heavy favorite money line. Priscila Cachoeira plus 300 on the underdog. And I'll be honest, I agree. I think that Jasmine Jasudavicius is going to win this fight. I actually think that she has a lot of chances to finish this fight on the mat. Priscila Cachoeira, man, the thing with her is that she has a lot of good volume, good output, but bro, she has terrible, terrible striking defense. I believe she gets hit twice as much per minute that she lands on her opponents. It's kind of crazy. She really impressed me with the Ariane Lipsky fight, where I did not see that finish coming. I thought Ariane Lipsky was going to win that fight, so she won as an underdog in that fight. But then in her next fight, I was actually at that fight against Miranda Maverick, and man, she, really showed her flaws in the grappling, and that's the thing in this fight. I think Jasmine Jasudavicius, which is actually kind of funny that she dominated Miranda Maverick, the same girl that finished Priscila Cachoeira. I think that she's going to have the wrestling here to get the best of Cachoeira. I think that Priscila Cachoeira is going to get taken down via body lock trips along the cage, especially on the warning track. And then on the feet, I feel like Jasmine Jasudavicius is going to be able to land at will on Priscila Cachoeira. The forward pressure should be something interesting to see how Jasmine deals with here from Priscila Cachoeira. I think Priscila Cachoeira is going to be going forward the whole fight, as she always does. Man, when she does that, I think that she's going to be leaving herself open for a level change here from Jasmine. And from there, I think Jasmine's going to be able to control the fight. And if not, submit or finish Priscila Cachoeira on the mat. And that's another thing. There's a ton of Canadians on this card. And I feel like a lot of them are going to be able to win their fights. So give me Jasmine Jasudavicius to win in front of her home crowd. And I'm going to go with a first-round submission. I think that she gets her out here in that first round. I think that she puts Priscila Cachoeira on her back and then passes her guard and submits her. So give me Jasmine Jasudavicius inside the distance, first-round submission. And up next, we have a banger of a fight. We have Yohan Lainesse versus Sam Patterson. Yohan comes in with a 9-2 record, currently minus 145 on the money line. He is 31 years old, 6'1" with a 76-inch reach. He's fighting Sam Patterson, who comes in with a 10-2-1 record, currently plus 120 as an underdog. 27 years old, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. Yeah, so the thing with this fight is Sam Patterson's going up a weight class to 170 in a weight class that he honestly probably should have been in his whole career. He is 6'3", and so he had to cut to 155 at 6'3" for his entire career up until now. It's kind of crazy. He obviously was super big for 135, but that really affects you with that weight cut, man. Your durability goes out the window, and so it's going to be interesting to see how he performs here at welterweight. I want to see how his speed looks in this new weight class. But, bro, he's getting a tough test against Yohan Lainesse, another Canadian in this fight, who comes in with a ton of power. I know Yohan Lainesse in his last fight got finished by Mike Malott, who's also on this card, but Mike Malott would kill Sam Patterson. He would strangle him or knock him out. So that's not really like that bad of a loss in my opinion. He beat Darian Weeks, and before that lost to Gabe Green. And that's the thing with Yohan Lainesse, man. This dude has shown brutal, finishing, crushing power in that very first fight, and really in the early part of his fights. It's just that he has low, bad, suspect cardio. And if this fight gets extended, Sam Patterson definitely has a route to win this fight. He has very good grappling, very good takedowns. And the thing with me in this fight is that it just comes down to Sam Patterson's bad striking defense. He is super tall, and he's been able to get away with just having a tall man's defense, pulling back, chin up in the air at 155. These guys can't reach him. But I don't think that's going to work here against Yohan Lainesse. I think Yohan Lainesse finds that chin. I actually think that he cracks Sam Patterson early in this fight. I'm going with another early finish here. I'm going with Yohan Lainesse, first round knockout to catch Sam Patterson. If he doesn't do it, I think that it's going to go all downhill from there for Yohan Lainesse. But that's the thing. Even if he doesn't finish him in that first round and he starts to fade, he's still only going to have to connect with one big punch or one good strike. It could be a kick too, but I think it's going to be with his hands and catch Sam on the chin, man. I'm telling you, his striking defense is very bad, and I do worry for him in this fight. Give me Yohan Lainesse to win via first round knockout. And up next, we have a women's strawweight fight between Gillian Robertson and Polyana Viana. Gillian Robertson comes with a 12-8 record, currently minus 200, 28 years old, 5'5" with a 63-inch reach. He's fighting Polyana Viana, who comes in with a 13-6 record, plus 165 on the money line, 31 years old, 5'5" with a 67-inch reach. So I am going with Gillian Robertson in this fight. I'm going with Gillian Robertson via decision in this fight. Man, I am worried, man. I am scared. This is not some sort of, ultra confident, block 5-unit max bet type pick here on the minus 200 favorite here. I'm picking her to win. I do think that she's going to win this fight, but it's going to be hard. And that line, I feel like, is a little bit wide because in this fight, it comes down to the perceived grappling advantage that Gillian has. Gillian should definitely be the better grappler in this fight and should definitely have the ability to get this fight down to the mat over Polyana Viana. But just that Polyana Viana, in my opinion, has enough for Gillian on the feet to make this interesting if it does get played out, extended on the feet for multiple minutes in this fight. if Gillian is not getting this fight down, if she's shooting and getting stuffed, and then they separate, I think it's going to look bad for the judges. I think Polyana Viana is going to be able to light up Gillian Robertson on the feet if that does happen. It's just that if Gillian Robertson does put Polyana Viana on her back, I think Polyana Viana is just too comfortable on her back due to the fact that she likes to throw up submissions, right? So she likes to go up for triangles, arm bars, stuff like that off her back, and really never really, if she doesn't get it, she's not advancing position, and she's losing minutes, getting hit from there, and the ref's not, separating them, which could really hurt her in this fight, because I don't think Gillian Robinson's going to get submitted by Polyana off her back. I think that Gillian is smart on the mat. I think that she's going to be able to pass Polyana's guard and really have her way on the mat. It's just that on the feet, I do worry about her. I like Polyana's speed. I like her striking. I give the striking advantage here to Polyana Viana. It's just that the grappling, I think, is just too much from Gillian Robinson. Give me Gillian Robinson to win this fight. It's kind of crazy. She's only 28 years old. She's had a lot of experience in the UFC. But yeah, man, tough fight. Minus 200. I don't foresee myself playing it, but give me Gillian Robinson to win this fight via decision. And I wouldn't be surprised if she submits Polyana Viana at some point in this fight. Oh, and up next, we have a banger of a fight, a rematch. We have Serhiy Sidey taking on Ramon Tavares. Sidey comes in with a 10-1 record, currently minus 180 on the money line, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. He is fighting Ramon Tavares. Comes in with a 9-2 record, currently plus 155 on the money line, 30 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. So what's interesting about this fight is that these guys actually fought on the Dana White Contender Series. I believe it was like 4 months ago. And the fight ended in a weird stoppage where Sidey won the fight, right? So he won via knockout against Tavares. They already fought before. But if you watch the fight, it was a straight punch that puts Tavares down, puts him on his back, and the ref like leaps in. Like, it was bizarre. Like, it was kind of wild watching it and thinking, like, what was he thinking? Because Sidey didn't land anything. He landed that one punch and then goes in to land more. But then by then the ref jumped in, and Tavares is kind of like reacting like, "What are we doing? Like, I'm here." And he was. His eyes are fine. He's sitting there like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" And they had to call it. And it cuts to Dana White in the audience, and he's like sitting there with Hunter Campbell, like, "What the hell is that? Like, what is this?" And he's obviously visibly mad. So that was a super bad ending. One of the worst ones I've seen, honestly, on their first fight. And the way that fight played out, I actually expected Sidey to use more of the grappling. In this fight, Sidey does, to me, look like the better overall MMA fighter. He uses his grappling more so than Tavares. But, dude, Tavares is the clean boxer and striker. And I'm actually going with Tavares to avenge his loss here. He's the plus 155 underdog here. Because I just like his boxing more. This is going to be a banger of fight. Similar to the last fight, not like an ultra-confident pick. I'm not sitting here throwing money on Tavares or anything like that. But I think that he's going to win this fight, man. Super exciting fight. I don't know if these guys have bad blood, but I'm assuming they want to get that win back. So give me Brad Tavares to win this fight. I'm actually going to go with a knockout in this fight. I'm going with a round 2 Ramon Tavares KO. Up next, we have a featherweight fight between Charles Jourdain and Sean Woodson. Charles Jourdain comes in with a 15-6-1 record, currently sitting as a minus 185 favorite. He is 28 years old, 5'9", with a 69-inch reach. He's fighting Sean Woodson, who comes in with a 10-1-1 record, currently sitting as a plus 150 underdog, 31 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach. So right away at the tail of the tape, you see that Sean Woodson has a 3-inch height advantage over Charles Jourdain and a 9-inch reach advantage over Jourdain. But I'm still going with the Canadian Charles Jourdain to win this fight, man. Sean Woodson, to me, he's just so awkward. He's just so awkward. He has a weird frame. He's super tall and lanky, and I just feel like his legs are going to be there for Charles Jourdain to just pick apart. I think that the inside leg kicks from Charles Jourdain will be there all fight. I think that Charles Jourdain has a better striking in this fight, and he definitely has a better grappling in this fight over Sean Woodson. Because the way you beat Charles Jourdain is you got to wrestle this guy. You got to put him on his back and win extended minutes that way. We saw Nathaniel Wood take him down over and over and over again, and we saw Shane Burgos kind of working when he did get him on the ground. Charles Jourdain, to me, is the better striker on the feet, but it's going to be awkward to deal with such a big frame. I actually expect Charles Jourdain to be the one to flip the script and for him to utilize the offensive grappling over someone like Sean Woodson. And yeah, man, 31 years old, 6'2" at featherweight. Man, that's tough, man. That's a tough weight cut. Sean Woodson here. I don't say he's a live underdog. I don't feel that confident in Charles Jourdain to win this fight, but I just feel like this is going to go to decision. I feel like Charles Jourdain is going to win. I do know a few of my friends will have money line tickets on Sean Woodson, and I don't blame him, man. Plus 150 in a fight that I think is going to be close, probably go to decision. I just think that Charles Jourdain does have a grappling advantage in this fight. Give me Charles Jourdain to win via decision in what should be a pretty good fight. And up next is another banger of a fight. This one is super close in my opinion. We have a men's bantamweight fight between Brad Katona and Garrett Armfield. Brad Katona comes in with a 13-2 record, currently sitting as a -180 favorite. He is 32 years old, 5'6", with a 64.5-inch reach. He's fighting Garrett Armfield, who comes in with a 9-3 record, currently +150 as an underdog, 27 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach. So 6-inch reach advantage going for Garrett Armfield in this fight. And yeah, man, this is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm actually kind of surprised at that line. I figured it'd be closer to a pick'em. So to see Brad Katona close to 2-1 favorite over Garrett Armfield definitely makes me raise some questions here. But I am going to go with the favorite here in Brad Katona. But I can see the case for Garrett Armfield, man. Garrett Armfield looked like $1 million in his last fight against Kazama, where he got that finish. I thought that Kazama was going to be able to utilize his grappling in that fight. And nope, he got sparked out quick in that first round. And yeah, man, Brad Katona's coming off his fight with Cody Gibson, who was a fight of the year contender, honestly. That fight was a banger. I think it was on the Sean O'Malley pay-per-view. But yeah, he looked like really good in that fight, looked like $1 million. And he looked really good in the Ultimate Fighter House. I don't believe that they count those as his, like, on your official record or anything. But he beat Timur Valiev, who was actually my pick to win the whole tournament. And he made it look easy, even though it was a split decision. His defensive and offensive grappling is what has really won him a lot of his fights. He's not really a striker, so it's kind of crazy to see him go into a brawl with Cody Gibson like that. But because to me, he's a more well-rounded fighter. He does have good grappling and good striking, whereas Garrett Armfield, to me, is just a really good striker, man. I really like his boxing. He rips the body well, and he has really good footwork and fight out of both stances, good cage work, good cage management, and this should be a really good fight. I would not be shocked at all to see Garrett Armfield win this fight at all whatsoever. I'm just going with the guy that has more experience, in my opinion, a little bit more proven in Brad Katona. And at -200, -180, I don't foresee myself laying 2 units to win one or parlaying Katona at all. I'm staying away, enjoying this one as a fight. Should be a very good, enjoying it as a fan, I should say. But this should be a very, very good fight. But give me Brad Katona to edge out a close decision. Now it's time for the pay-per-view card, guys. This is going to be a banger. We have Arnold Almighty Allen taking on Movsar Evloev in the men's featherweight division, kicking off the pay-per-view. We have Arnold Allen coming in with a 19-2 record, currently sitting as a +135 underdog. He is 29 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. Fighting Movsar Evloev, who comes in with a perfect undefeated record at 17-0. He is currently -185. He is 29 years old, 5'7", with a 72.5-inch reach. Now, I'm going with the Russian, the undefeated prospect Evloev in this fight, but this is a tough fight, guys. Arnold Allen is legit. And it's weird because the way Evloev fights, right, he's a very good offensive grappler and really suffocating grappler that's just going to control you and kind of maul you on the mat. And we haven't really seen someone fight that style against Arnold Allen. If you look at his record, Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar, Dan Hooker, Sadiq Youssef, Nick Lentz, Gil Melendez, like, these people were not trying to shoot takedowns and grab him the whole fight. He was winning minutes at distance, and that's one thing that's weird about Arnold Allen is that for how good his striking is, and he does have the striking advantage in this fight, don't get it twisted, he's at times low volume. He'll just stop fighting. He'll just won't do anything, and he'll just, I don't know if it's getting reads or what he's doing, but, like, he'll just take minutes off. It's weird. And he'll blitz and be super quick and just, like, look like $1 million. He absolutely dominated Dan Hooker. It was kind of crazy. Dan Hooker thought he could be Q and come down to 145. And he ran him over. He ran him over in the first round. Arnold Allen put him on notice and sent Dan Hooker back to 155. Dan Hooker said, you know what? I'm good. I don't want any more of that, and I'm out. And so he lost to Max Holloway in a tough fight. I mean, Max Holloway is just better in every single facet of MMA. And he just wasn't ready for that step up in competition, man. Max Holloway is one of the greatest fighters of all time. No shame in that loss whatsoever. So yeah, man, Arnold Allen's a very, very good fighter. And like I said, no one's really had to make him utilize his grappling and show his jiu-jitsu like that in the UFC yet. He's fighting Movsar Evloev, who's an absolute savage. This dude is undefeated in the UFC, but that's the thing with this guy. He's not finishing anybody. He's 7-0 in the UFC with 7 finishes. And it's weird because he's had moments where he could finish the fight, but also he's had moments where he himself could get finished. I tweeted out earlier this week because I'm telling you guys right now, Movsar Evloev will never tap in the fight, ever. I feel like this guy is the type of guy that will just go out and go to sleep or get like a limb snap like Jamal Hill. This dude is a beast. I don't know how he didn't get submitted by Lopez, and I don't know how he didn't get submitted by Lentz. This dude was in some deep submissions in that fight. But I really like this guy. He's a super well-rounded fighter. In that fight against Diego Lopez, he was like -1,000, and that ended up being a really good fight. Diego Lopez had some good submission attempts in that fight, but it turned out that Diego Lopez was a savage and a good prospect, and this guy has exploded on the UFC scene and just racking up wins left and right. And so that's actually a really good win in hindsight. Before that, beat Dan Ige in a fight where he really showed his hands, his good boxing in that fight. Someone named Dan Ige that can crack, and he stayed safe and absolutely ragged on that guy. Dan Ige got dominated in that fight and just made him look horrible. Beat Hakeem Dawodu in a fight where he started to fade there in a little bit, and that's one of the fights where you can start to question his cardio in Movsar Evloev. And like I said, almost got submitted by Nick Lentz, but also dominated that fight as well. Man, I'm just super impressed with Evloev, and if he, for instance, can't get the fight down, even then, I think it's going to be close. I don't think that Arnold Allen is just some sort of like Israel Adesanya level striker who's just going to style all over Evloev on the feet. No, I think that Evloev, with the threat of the takedown, will make Arnold Allen timid. And I think that since someone has such good wrestling, you tend to see those guys land more than you would think against elite strikers. So give me Evloev to win this fight. I think that he's going to win a dominant decision. I don't think that he's going to finish Arnold Allen. But man, I'm confident, man. I think that this guy's on a trajectory to be a champion. I think that he wins this fight. I think that Ilia Topuria beats Volkanovski, and I think that they try and make this fight. So we just saw Max Holloway get booked today for Justin Gaethje, UFC 300, and I feel like Evloev's next in line for the fight if Volkanovski doesn't get an immediate rematch. So give me Movsar Evloev to win this fight via 30-27 decision. Up next, we have a men's middleweight fight between Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault. Chris Curtis comes in with a 30-10 record, currently sitting as a -165 favorite. He is 36 years old, 5'10", with a 70.5-inch reach. He's fighting Marc-Andre Barriault, who comes in with a 16-6 record, currently sitting as a +140 underdog. He is 33 years old, 6'1", with a 74-inch reach. Now, I'm going with Chris Curtis in this fight, but I'm not eager to bet this fight or rushing to the window to bet him because, man, Marc-Andre Barriault can crack, and he is a very durable guy. When it comes to Chris Curtis, he can get outstruck. It's kind of crazy. He's a very good boxer. This guy's never shot a single takedown in the UFC. He wants to box. He wants to strike. He is a striker. He is very competent on the feet. And his last two fights, they haven't been the best. He was losing a fight in Nasruddin Imavov in a fight where I bet on Imavov, and we got screwed, man. A headbutt cost us that fight. They stopped the fight due to an illegal clash of heads. And we had money on Imavov, and we were cruising our way to a cash, man. We were going to cash that ticket super easily. He was winning that fight at distance, and kind of styling all over Chris Curtis. Before that, lost a controversial decision to Kevin Gastelum in another fight that had a headbutt. But in my opinion, that was a rightful winner. I did score that fight for Kevin Gastelum in that fight. Before that, finished walking Buckley viciously. Before that, lost to Jack Hermansson in a fight where he got caught being low output again. In that fight against Jack Hermansson is a really bad look. Chris Curtis is just chasing, following. And Jack Hermansson just picked him apart from the outside. So I've seen guys like Rodolfo Vieira land jabs quite frequently on Chris Curtis. And Rafael Vieira is a pure jiu-jitsu guy, ADCC champion, and he was making his jab look legit against someone like Chris Curtis. So that's kind of worrisome for sure. But man, I feel like that he has enough to handle Marc-Andre Barriault in this fight. At -165, though, I don't foresee myself playing that juice. I think that Marc-Andre Barriault is a very good fighter. He's coming off 2 wins in a row where he looked good against Julian Marquez, got that finish. I believe that was a fight right after Marquez got like a reply from Miley Cyrus, which was super funny. And he went out and dominated Eric Anders as well. So man, he's another Canadian fighting at home, so I actually think this is going to be the first Canadian to drop the ball and to lose in front of the home crowd. Give me Chris Curtis, who also has been training with Sean Strickland this whole camp, obviously the main event. I love when guys at the same gym or on the same card, training together in the same weight class. So give me Chris Curtis to win this fight via decision and to bounce back and finally get a second paycheck, because this dude hasn't gotten paid for his 2 checks in a while because he lost that fight against Gastelum and got that no contest against Evloev. So give me Chris Curtis to come out hungry and to really put it on Marc-Andre Barriault to win via decision. Up next, we have a men's welterweight fight between Neil Magny and Mike Malott. Magny, the Hastings sensation, comes in with a 28-11 record. He is +230. 36 years old, 6'3", with an 80-inch reach. He is fighting Proper Mike Malott. He is 10-1-1. He is -280 on the money line. He is 32 years old, 6'1", with a 73-inch reach. All my homies hate Mike Malott. We don't mess with Mike Malott on the show. He crushed our homie Adam Fugate in his last fight. And that sucked, man. But for real, no, Mike Malott, very good fighter. Obviously, a super good prospect. Guy's going places in the UFC. He has 10 professional wins, 10 finishes. Just a savage, right? This guy's just cruising through everybody. Has never been to a round 3, and that's where it gets interesting because Neil Magny is an ultra super savvy veteran. Been around forever. He is, like I said, 36 years old. And he has the most wins ever in UFC welterweight history, man. This guy's 21-10 in the UFC, and he's fighting the who's who, man. We can go on and on about who he's fought, who he's been in there with, how he's done. But up until recently, just look at his record. Look at all that red, look at all the green. He's been going back and forth for a long time now. So in that fight, most recently, if you look at his most recent performance against Ian Gary Machado, he got his leg chewed up bad, man. It was kind of crazy. The very first strike that Ian Gary threw and landed on Magny threw him off balance, and he just was from a mess the rest of the fight. It was kind of crazy. I'm actually kind of shocked that Ian Gary didn't finish Neil Magny, and that's probably because Neil Magny is a savage and super durable. Mike Malott, the way he fights, he's actually a very good wrestler. I know on the feet you probably think he's going to knock out Neil Magny, but man, I actually think that he's going to want to utilize his grappling here in this fight, which actually makes it interesting because Neil Magny, the thing that he's good at is winning the clinch exchanges along the cage and along the warning track. So if you're sitting there, I mean, I know you see right there on the screen, it says minus 280 for Mike Malott, but he's around minus 400 now. This line has ballooned. No one's giving any faith to Neil Magny. On the screen, it says he was plus 230, but now he's plus 310. Man, to pay minus 400 over Mike Malott, a guy that has never been in the third round ever in his pro career, let alone the UFC, against someone in Neil Magny that has seen and been in there with some of the best fighters in this division's history, it's tough, man. But, man, you can't ignore the fact that he is 36 years old, starting to slow down. And if he can't utilize that clinch against someone like Mike Malott, who probably honestly will reverse him in the clinch, he's probably going to get schooled. It's just that the questions are on Mike Malott. How is he going to look if this gets extended? If he can't finish Neil Magny, how is he going to win a decision? He never has. Man, give me Mike Malott, but absolutely no way. This is like the Tom Nolan of last week. I'm not saying he's going to lose, but I'm just saying like I cannot justify paying minus 400 on a parlay, straight, or nothing. Give me Mike Malott, but I'm not betting this fight. I am staying away. My pick for this fight is Mike Malott inside the distance, round 1. I think that he takes Neil Magny down, outside trip, passes his guard, and then pounds him out, ground and pound finish. Give me Mike Malott. Crazy money line, though. That's absolutely. Now it's time for the co-main event, guys. We have a UFC bantamweight title fight. We have Raquel Rocky Pennington taking on Mario Bueno Silva. Or Mario Bueno Silva, I should say. Pennington comes in with a 15-8 record, currently plus 140 on the money line. He is 35 years old, 5'7", with a 67.5-inch reach. He is fighting Bueno Silva. Mario Bueno Silva, dang, I'm messing her name up, who comes in with a 10-2 win record, currently sitting as a minus 170 favorite, 32 years old, 5'6", with a 66.5-inch reach. Right here on the screen, you can see her last fight was considered a draw, no contest, but really she won, man. She submitted Holly Holm, but she tested positive for like Adderall, I believe, ADHD medication. It wasn't like steroids or some crazy PEDs. Well, I'm sure Adderall does help you in a fight, but yeah, man, it wasn't like she's some crazy drug cheat or anything. But yeah, so she won, finished Holly Holm in that fight, submitted her, and she's taking on Raquel Pennington, who, dang, man, I'll be honest, is kind of a live underdog in this fight. The thing with me, though, is that she looks a little slower, more recently. Her striking defense is starting to leave her, in my opinion. And Bueno Silva is just so active on the mat. And even if it doesn't reach the mat, I feel like Bueno Silva has enough for Pennington on the feet to win the exchanges for 5 rounds in this fight. But it's just the ability to end the fight once it does hit the mat that makes me lean toward Bueno Silva. Plus, man, you're 35 years old getting a title fight here. I don't really see her winning this fight. The way Pennington will win this fight, in my opinion, will be via decision. So if you're someone out there with a decision-only bet, that's probably the best way to go. My books don't offer that, so I can't bet that prop. But if Pennington were to win, I think that she wins the decision here by staying safe and outpointing Silva on the feet and never getting taken down and never getting put on her back. Whereas I think Bueno Silva can make the shots matter more when she lands from like over Pennington, because I think Pennington will have the volume advantage over Silva. But man, that grappling, I just can't ignore. I think that Bueno Silva finishes this fight. I think that she submits Pennington at some point in this fight. I'm going with the 3rd round submission for Mario Bueno Silva. Yeah, man, not confident, not super confident, not rushing to the window, but I just can't get behind Raquel Pennington. She has all the skill set, man. She has the striking, she has the output, she has the defensive grappling, in my opinion, to at least make it interesting. But overall, I just think it's not enough after 5 rounds to survive against someone like Bueno Silva. Give me Bueno Silva to win this fight. Like I said, 3rd round submission. And now it's time for the main event, guys. We have Sean Strickland taking on DRICUS Du Plessis. Sean Strickland comes on looking to defend his title after a huge upset win over Israel Adesanya in his last fight. He comes in with a 28-5 record, currently sitting as a minus 120 favorite. He is 32 years old, 6'1", with a 76-inch reach. He's fighting DRICUS Still Knocks Du Plessis, who comes in with a 20-2 record, currently sitting as a even money plus 100 underdog. He is 30 years old, 6'1", with a 76-inch reach. Now, I can see this fight going many ways, guys. I can see Sean Strickland absolutely styling all over DRICUS du Plessis, and I can see DRICUS du Plessis leaving Sean Strickland unconscious in the middle of the octagon 100%. It's just so interesting. I want to see how this fight plays out. I cannot bet this fight. The value is gone, in my opinion, because I actually think that whoever wins this fight is going to look like they're minus 300. I am not expecting some sort of close, drawn-out 5-round war at all in this fight because, man, I just think that if DRICUS gets his way, he's going to crack Sean early in this fight. And if Sean gets his way, he's going to tidal wave DRICUS du Plessis and just pile on him. And he might actually put away DRICUS du Plessis. Yeah, I'm going with DRICUS du Plessis. My pick is DRICUS du Plessis to win this fight via knockout in that second round. And what's interesting about DRICUS is that his last win against Robert Whittaker, I didn't see coming, man. I thought he had no chance in that fight. But this was his first fight after getting no surgery. And he looked good, man. He looked amazing. He dropped Whittaker with the jab and showed good grappling in that fight. And that's one thing that I don't think people realize about DRICUS du Plessis is he has really good wrestling and really good jiu-jitsu. This guy is very, very competent on the mat. He is not some sort of just like knockout artist like Rosenstruck or Derek Lewis. This dude knows what he's doing on the mat, 100%. So does Sean Strickland. I'm not saying he doesn't, but that was interesting to see him look as good as he did. I saw a video where he like won a whole quintet tournament. This guy eliminated a whole jiu-jitsu team by himself, one after another. It was kind of insane to watch. I know he has good jiu-jitsu, man. If you look at his UFC run, Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson, Darren Till, Brad Tavares, we've called all these fights perfectly up until Robert Whittaker. I actually predicted exactly that he was going to not be able to finish Tavares and win a decision for the first time in his career. And after that, we had money on him against Till. We had money on him against Brunson. We faded him against Whittaker and got caught bad. But in the Till and Brunson fight, there was moments where he showed bad cardio. His mouth's open. He's breathing weird. His hands are low. He's throwing everything in his shots. They're super telegraphed. And I guess someone like Sean Strickland, who's just going to step aside, Philly shell, and just grab your face off, that's terrible. There's a chance that he might get like shown levels here by Sean Strickland, but at the same time, it might not matter, man. He might be getting beat up for 4 minutes and then just counterpunch Sean Strickland into next year. Sean Strickland, we all know what he does, man. He jabs. He's not going to do anything other than jab. He's not going to kick. He's not going to jab. He's not going to throw hooks. He's going to jab. He's going to throw one. He's going to throw 1, 2. He's going to throw one again. It's just that he's been able to get away, and I will give him credit, man. I feel like a lot of people just don't give him the respect he deserves for his defense, man. I know he has the iCarly stance, the weird, awkward stance with one hand on his chest, one hand's up, and it's just so awkward. But, dude, he is good. He is hard to hit. He reminds me of Leon Edwards. These guys are throwing, and by the time the third round comes along, they have landed like 15 punches. It's kind of crazy to watch. But, man, I just don't think he's going to be able to avoid DRICUS du Plessis in this fight. I think DRICUS du Plessis catches him here early in this fight. And we haven't even mentioned the off the octagon stuff, the whole press conference and how it affected them, the fight that they had in the the stands as fans at the UFC 296. Man, I think that Sean Strickland's actually emotional for the first time. I didn't like how he reacted to DRICUS du Plessis mentioning the stuff that he did. So yeah, man, not that that has any factor in the fight. I just didn't like it. Give me DRICUS du Plessis via knockout. I think he knocks him out in that second round. And we see and new. That'll do it for our picks, guys. Now it's time to go over our official bets and recap how we did last week at UFC Vegas 84. And it's time to face the music, guys. Let's go over how we did last week at UFC Vegas 84 before we get into our 2 bets so far for UFC 297 on Saturday. And last Saturday, we got swept, man. The reverse sweep. You hate to see it. And it really comes down to my style of betting, guys. Before the card starts, there's 1 hour until the card starts, and I had 0 bets, right? I'm looking, I'm like, what do I want to bet? Nothing sticks out, right? There's really nothing that's drawing me one way or another. I can see the case for a lot of different fighters to win their fights, and as far as prop hunting or stuff like that, that's never been my style, and I got caught bad, man. I started just throwing sprinkles here and there, and if you add up all the sprinkles that miss, you end up losing 3.99 units. And, losing every single one of your bets. So let's start off with the card and how the bets came in. Let's start with our Joshua Van wins via decision. We put a half unit on that, and for us, our units are $40, so we put $20 on that at plus 230. And we lost, man. So Joshua Van goes out there and loses the first round, and he starts dominating in the second round. And I'm thinking, like, okay, this is going good, going exactly how we thought. But then he starts dominating too much, and Philip Bunez just gasses out bad, gets cut up bad, and Joshua Van is a stud. This dude puts him out in the second round, and on my video last week, I said second or third round stoppage or decision. And man, it ended up being a second round stoppage. I knew he'd get the finish late. Bunes had never been knocked down in his pro career before that, but he was like 35 years old and making his debut against a savage. Joshua Van was on short notice, so I was wondering how that was going to affect him, but dang, it didn't affect him at all. This dude has a chin. I will say that. He ate a ton of shots. He ate Philip's best shots and just walked him down bad in that second round. Finishes him. We lose our bet, and I couldn't believe it. 20 more seconds, we get into round 3, and who knows, maybe something happens in the third round, and we push to a decision, but nope. Start the card off with a loss. And after that, we had another small sprinkle on Farid Basharat winning by TKO or knockout at plus 1,100 for 0.25 units, a quarter unit shot, just $10 for us on that. Nothing big, nothing crazy. And my idea behind that one was I just thought that line was crazy off, man. I thought that Basharat with the grappling that I expected him to use in that fight, I just thought that there was going to be so much grappling that at some point a ground and pound finish wasn't out of the question. I thought a submission wasn't out of the question either. Obviously, the decision was more favored. He was, I think, minus 150 to win via decision. Obviously, the way to go. Taylor Lapis, super durable guy. Man, there was moments in that fight where Basharat was close, but I just figured that ground and pound finish was the only way that was going to win. So that's why I only put a quarter unit on that. And to me, losing $10 on a fight where it could happen, in my opinion, I wasn't too worried about that. But like I said earlier, if you add up all these sprinkles, they start to add up to big losses. So definitely lost on that and had absolutely no shot on that. Then this one was the most frustrating one of the night. We had Preston Parsons to win via submission over Matthew Semmelsberger, plus 340 for a half unit. And man, to lose on that hurt because he had 2 different submissions in tight. He had an armbar where, I mean, Bisping was doing the thing where he goes, oh, it's tight. And obviously it's not tight. But Semmelsberger fights out of the armbar, which credit to him. That was probably like not as deep as the next one. Then in the third round, Parsons has a Kimura, and I don't know how he didn't finish the Kimura. The ref was even like getting close and like about to pull him off because I thought he was going to have a verbal tap to that. And sure enough, Semmelsberger doesn't tap. He gets out and just wins a decision after that. And it hurt so much, man. That Kimura was locked in. Sure enough, Parsons says in his post-fight speech, his arm cracked during Semmelsberger's arm popped during the armbar, and it popped again during the Kimura. He just went and tapped. So, man, I got caught with Semmelsberger just being a savage. Man, that was so close. Plus 340 was so close there. And I really would have turned our night around. And then here we go on Phil Hawes, man. I ended up betting a unit on Phil Hawes. I put 0.75 units, 3/4 of a unit on his money line at plus 115. And I put a quarter unit on him to win via decision at plus 900. Terrible bets. Just horrible. Probably my worst bet I've had, in the last few years. Phil Hawes can't take a punch. Bruno Ferreira, not the best fighter, but still doesn't mean that he has the ability to punch someone. So the fact that he can punch someone means that Phil Hawes is probably going to lose. Phil Hawes' chin is absolutely terrible. Didn't even try to wrestle. He tried to wrestle one time, couldn't get him down, and didn't go again at all. And yeah, I got finished with like 10 seconds left in that first round. So terrible bet. Combine both those bets to lose a unit on that. And then we had a parlay, Magomed Ankalaev to win, parlay with Ricky Simon to win, minus 190, put 1.24 units on that to win 1, lost that. And that was because Ricky Simon got dominated by Mario Batista. Mario Batista was able to sprawl and brawl on Ricky Simon and just piece him apart the whole entire fight. He was cracking Ricky Simon with his 1 and with his 1-2. He was just lighting him up with those jabs. And Simon honestly got schooled, man. I thought it was a 30-27. Ricky Simon got dominated. Ankalaev won, obviously, but it wouldn't matter because Ricky Simon. And then I had a half unit on Ankalaev to win via submission at plus 700. And again, I thought that there was going to be a lot of grappling in that fight. And obviously there wasn't. Ankalaev stood and banged and absolutely cracked Johnny Walker in that second round. I was even hoping for a club and sub. So at plus 700, I thought that line was off, man. I had to throw a half unit shot on that, and I lost, man. We put up 3.99 units, and we lost 3.99 units. So there it is. Reverse sweep, man. And it's more of a lesson to myself, man. My takeaway was I don't have to bet every single card. I don't have to bet all these fights. I don't have to really force anything. And I know I felt like I was doing something good because I was getting plus 340, plus 900, plus 700, plus 230, and I wasn't really risking that much, hoping for some big returns. But when none of them hit, then that's when you come in, you come in and you lose 4 units. So just terrible way to start the year. But we're gonna bounce back with our 2 bets that you'll see right here on this card. Our first one, we have Movsar Evloev over Arnold Allen at minus 185 for 3.7 units to win 2. I think that he's going to beat Arnold Allen in this fight. I think he wins the decision. I'm feeling pretty confident. I think that he's going to traject to be a champion, and he's going to do that by winning this fight. So give me Evloev to win 3.7 units to win 2. And then I bet on Malcolm Gordon, having flashback of Phil Hodge right now, against Jimmy Flick. At minus 150, we put 1.5 units on this to win one. And yeah, man, this is a total fade on Jimmy Flick. No offense. He follows us on Twitter. Super nice guy. One of my favorite fighters to watch. But man, I just don't think that he's UFC level. And I think that Malcolm Gordon has the striking and offensive grappling to really neutralize Jimmy Flick, who I just think that is too one-dimensional to win this fight. So crazy that I'm betting on Malcolm Gordon a week after I bet on Phil Hodge, so maybe I deserve to lose this one. Maybe we get swept again. But these are our only two bets so far right now. I am looking at Lionesse's money line. I'm looking at Bueno Silva's money line. I'm looking at maybe a parlay with Gillian Robertson or Jasmine Jasudavicius. Those are the bets I'm looking at right now. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the support. Let me know what you think about my picks and my bets in the comments, and good luck this week at UFC 297, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.